And welcome to another edition of the Coaches Show live here on News Channel Nebraska. Week 4 is in the books, and Craig Williams is starting things off with us as usual. And Craig, you're rocking a retro jersey. Share the story behind the fabled number 17.
Well, I thought I'd pay a little tribute to Grant when he played 10 years ago. This is the jersey he wore. We were just talking about it. His sophomore and his senior year. He had to change numbers because we misplaced the jersey when he was a junior. But we dug it out, and we got so many kids out that used to play for us out doing different things, and so I thought I'd wear it in his honor today, and when I leave, it's staying with him because I'm not taking it back to the school with me.
It looks good, though. You're filling it out a little better than I did back in the day.
I know I make it look good. So.
Any favorite memories when you had that thing on?
Oh, I don't know. We beat a couple good teams back in the day. It's all about a blur now. You go through all the high school and college games. It's hard to remember specific ones. I know I had an interception against Norfolk in that jersey back when we played them in homecoming, so...
Yeah, the biggest one I can remember, he got a sack and a fumble recovery, ran it back for a touchdown against Papio South at home one year. So I can still picture that one.
Well, trip down memory lane, history and highlights here on the Coaches Show. We're going to take a look now as the Discoverers are 3-1 after defeating Norris in a great comeback victory. Coach, let's take a look at the highlights right now, but it was a game that didn't look as promising from the beginning, but you guys gritted your teeth, plowed forward, and ultimately came back from 17 plus points down.
Yeah, we had a good game plan going in, and the kids had to go execute it, and unfortunately, we gave up 3 big plays in the first half, and to be honest, if you take away those 3 plays, those totaled almost 200 yards. We gave up 305 total yards on the game. If you take 200 of them on 3 plays, our defense played outstanding. So at halftime, we're sitting down 19-10. We got a score right before half, and we said we can't let this happen right here, where these kids get away and break 80-yard touchdown runs. But we said stick to the game plan. You've played really well. If we just got to punch a couple in here, we're right back in this football game, and so we did that in the second half. Our defense shut them down, and our offense got the ball moving in the second half.
Well, this is something we talked about last week, but the battle in the trenches and how big those guys are up front. Can you just go over a little bit about analyze how you guys did up front in the trenches? We
were very pleased with it, especially we had our backup center in there, and Garrett Kranzler, who played very, very well. Ended up getting dinged up there late in the game, and we had to go with a sophomore center to finish out the game. In fact, the touchdown run there at the end, we had a sophomore center in there on that snap. But our offensive line, they did a great job staying low. Defensive line did as well. And, we gave up all kinds of size up front, but we got under their pads, and we moved them. And to be honest with you, at the end of the game, I thought we were the aggressive team. They were tired, and, we were staying under them and pushing the line of scrimmage back 3 and 4 yards on every play.
You saw that other big play you talked about in the first half. 19-3 is the score. You ultimately do punch it in prior to halftime, where it's 19-7. What is that halftime speech like, rallying your kids as you're trailing 9 against Norris?
Well, the first thing we said is we walked in, and just like I said earlier, you got to stick to the game plan. You guys have played really well in the first half, and especially defensively. You just gave up a couple big plays. Come out in the second half, don't give those big plays up, and we're going to be in great shape. We're going to be in this football game, and we held them there the first 2 drives they had it. We ended up punching it in, cutting it to 19-17, and then the pressure's on them, because now the momentum's in our favor. We got the home crowd on our side, and we just kept making big plays. Like right here, they tried to fake a punt, and we had some kids step up and stop about a yard short. And we just had kids making plays down the stretch.
Well, you look at Michael Cook's performance here, and obviously coming in this season and getting that starting position, where do you think this puts him at as a quarterback? Because he obviously stepped up huge here for you guys to get the win.
Well, I'll tell you what, he was very, very impressive. And, both running the football on that last touchdown run, he showed you how fast he can be and how he can get through and be a game breaker with his feet. But he made a couple of throws. That touchdown that we just saw included that he threw the ball and got leveled right after he threw it. And he stood in there, he took the hit, he knew he was going to get hit, and he put the ball right where it had to be. He's just a sophomore, just a junior, and we're looking for great things out of him the next 2 years, but he's really, really looking good right now and really stepped up his game.
And defensively, what can you take away? Because you gave up a safety on the final play of the game as you're just trying to run out the clock. But other than that, they gave up the big plays in the first half, but they shorted up in the second.
Yeah, they did, and it's again, it was a couple breakdowns there on the defensive side, and we really use it as a teaching tool that when you're playing good football teams, and don't let it fool you. Norris is a top 5 team. They're a top 5-6 team in the state. They got a chance to win the rest of their football games, and but when you're playing those types of teams, one breakdown can give up those big plays, and football is the true team sport. You can have 10 guys do everything perfect, but if one guy does something wrong, the play doesn't work out for you.
Well, before we move to Ralston here, we're kind of seeing the end of the game here and talking about that safety that you mentioned. What's going through your head as you guys get the ball back, but you're trying to run out the clock? And I know we talked a little bit after the game. You're trying to just count how much seconds are going down. What was going through your head?
Well, when we got the football, we knew we needed to run off about 3 or 4 extra seconds. In the future, I think Michael's going to delay a second before he takes a knee right there, on each play. That way we can gain a few seconds. But we had to snap that football with about 4 seconds left. And we knew we had the safety in the pocket. I mean, we just wanted to win the football game. It didn't matter how. We were in a similar situation in week 1. We decided to try to run out the clock by running the ball, and we put the ball in the ground. So we just went about it a little bit different this time, just to make sure that there was no chance of them getting the football back. And we just had to snap the ball, catch the ball, down the ball, and run that clock out.
Well, Coach, a few minutes left. You're 3-1, and you have Ralston, who's 2-2 coming into Friday night. You're also the number 10 team in the Omaha World Herald, if you pay attention to those rankings. But how are you feeling heading into the Ralston contest, and what do you expect to see from the Rams?
Well, first of all, about the rankings, we told our kids on Monday morning that you didn't win any game so far this season because of a number in front of your name, and you're not going to win a single game from here on out. Because you're ranked number 9, 10, number 1, whatever you are, those rankings don't mean anything. They're not going to win football games for you. So just throw that out the window. We have one game on our schedule, and that's Ralston on Friday night. This is a good football team. They're sitting at 2-2. They've played some good teams, and they played Elkhorn South, who is hands down the number 1 team in the state. They were down 6-3 at halftime. So. They played really, really well last Friday. They're a big team. We're used to seeing that. They're physical. They got 2 playmakers in the backfield, and their quarterback and their tailback, and they've got a guy on defense that just flies around all over the place, and we're going to have to account for him on every single play.
As we wrap things up here, any final thoughts about how practice is going or how you think it's going preparing for this week?
You know what? We were a little concerned about how challenged it was going to be going from a nice, cool couple weeks to 92 degrees on Tuesday and 90 and humid out there today. And we've had some very, very good practices. The kids have really stepped up. I think they're starting to realize, as we were talking, good teams, they practice well when they can, and they have some bad ones in there, but great teams don't do that. And if they want to get to that great team status, if they want to keep getting better, they've got to lay it out on the field every single time we step out there, whether it's practice or the game field. They got to perform.
All right, Coach. Well, as always, wishing you guys the best of luck. Hopefully next time we're talking to you on Wednesday. Discoverers 4-1.
All right, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Well, that wraps up the first segment here on the Coaches Show. Do not go anywhere. Kurt Frenzen has just arrived in the studio. We'll be talking to him as well as about the Lakeview Vikings coming up next on News Channel Nebraska.
Hi, I'm Dee Hansen. I'm the Marketing Director, and we would like to introduce you to Bank of the Valley.
Community-minded, family-centered, measurable relationships. When it comes to your business, agriculture, and personal banking needs, trust Bank of the Valley.
We're obviously a locally owned bank, but we're also a bank that's very involved.
The most important thing is when you walk in the front door, everybody knows your first name. We are small town banking with all the modern conveniences.
Bank of the Valley in Bellwood, David City, Platte Center, Columbus, and their new location in Humphrey.
Selling your car can be frustrating. Most people go online to estimate what their car is worth. What a range they give you though. Then you list it online, in the paper, put a sign in the window, and then wait and wait and wait. But there's an easier way. At Ernst Auto Center, you can trade or sell your vehicle with no obligation to buy. Just give us a call. We pay you and we pay today.
Hi, I'm John Ernst from Ernst Auto Center in Columbus, and we're dedicated to earning your business every day.
Show, we're in our second segment. With us is head coach of the Lakeview Vikings, Kurt Frenzen. Kurt, How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Getting into district play now. Things starting to heat up in the season. Excited to get going with our first district game against Boone Central.
And entering districts at 2-2, the Vikings coming off a defeat against a tough O'Neill foe. They're undefeated, and prior to playing you guys, they hadn't given up any points. I'm not sure, if a lot of people expected O'Neill to be where they are, or at least on a statewide scale, but they're a tough foe. You fell 36-14. Walk us through that contest as we take a look at some highlights.
Well, like you said, they have an outstanding football team. They are one team I think was flying under the radar just a little bit during preseason. They came in not ranked into the season. I was a little bit surprised, and I think the people from O'Neill are a little bit surprised because they had a lot coming back and their quarterback's healthy. And as you see in some of the highlights, he's a pretty special athlete. And a lot of people talk about Noah Vedral. I'm not saying maybe he's quite in that category, but he's a big kid, 6'3", 180 pounds. He can throw the ball really well, and he runs really well. He was tough to defend, and he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks we see this year. We've got a lot on our schedule, are pretty sharp, but he's as good as they're going to come. And he made some really good throws, delivered the ball well throughout the game. And one thing he is, he's just a leader, that's for sure.
Well, you talk about offensively, you guys were able to put 14 points on later in the game there, and no one has done that so far this season. Do you think that credits your offense and your team at how hard and resilient they are?
Yeah, we came out the second half and fumbled on the opening possession. We were already down 29-0, blew a coverage, and they scored right away. So credit to our kids. We got it put together and actually started driving the ball in the third quarter, and that wasn't against their threes or anything. I mean, they had their ones in actually right up until probably about 3 or 4 minutes left in the game, and they pulled them, I think, on the last series when we scored our last touchdown. But we did a nice job really fighting back. Jaden Johnson came in and really directed the offense on that drive. We ran some option, he ran some short game. He did a nice job delivering the ball in the second half, and our timing was a lot better. And then he was able to shake loose on an option pass and hit Lucas Thatcher on a backside fade route, and Lucas did a great job cutting, beating a couple defenders. And then Jaden really started to settle in and play good football, and I would think that was kind of the way our whole team was. We didn't settle in very well early in the game, and they just played a lot better than we did early, and we've got to get off the bus and play these road games a heck of a lot better than we've started the last 2 road games that we've had.
I know necessarily moral victories aren't what you're looking for. You're looking for the W in the win column, but when you look at being outscored 29-0 in the first 2 quarters, you actually did outscore O'Neill in the second half 14-7. Is that obviously a positive you take away from the contest?
Well, their first touchdown came on a 4th and goal from the 13-yard line, and the kid threw a great pass, and the kid caught it in the corner of the end zone, arm extended and drug 2 feet and got it. It was an amazing catch. So that was their first touchdown. And their last touchdown of the second half actually was set up after they had a dead play. Their center snapped the ball and he wasn't supposed to. The quarterback made a heads-up play, grabbed the ball, kind of rolled to the right. We almost had him sacked. He kind of threw it over his left shoulder. They picked up a first down. The kid stepped out of bounds, and then they threw not quite a Hail Mary pass, about a 40-yard touchdown to end the first half. So we had some opportunities to get off the field at different times. We just weren't able to. But again, credit to O'Neill. They made the plays, and they made the plays in the first half especially, and we didn't. Now in the second half it was a little bit different story. We had that fumble early in the second half, but outside of that, boy, we settled in, played well, and honestly, we played quite well. We got off the field a few times on 3rd down. We had a couple 4th down stops. So I credit to our kids. The second half, they woke up a little bit at halftime. We challenged them at halftime and didn't pull any punches. The performance that we had the first half was not acceptable, so I was really pleased with how they came out. Our kids weren't happy about it, you could tell, and they came to play in the second half.
We talk about getting ready for district play, then you got Boone Central, Newman Grove to start off. We saw them very early in the season and obviously see how they have done so far. They got some mobility in the backfield as well. Defensively, what has practice been looking like?
Well, we've had a really physical week. We've challenged our kids to be more physical. Last week we were in the second half, but first half we again started a little bit slow. So, Boone's been down a few starters the last couple games, and I know they'll probably have a couple of those guys back. The Kruger kid at running back, I fully expect him to probably be back this week. He was out the last game and sat out some of the game against O'Neill. So, he's a big part of their offense, and their quarterback, the Gintrup kid, obviously is a really outstanding athlete as well. And we're going to have to do some things to stop him and slow him down a little bit.
And defensively, who are those leaders you're looking towards, or at least through 4 games? Are you pleased with what you're seeing on the defensive end for the most part, and who are the guys stepping up?
Consistency needs to be the theme right now. You know, we have some really good moments where we look like we could play with anybody in the state, and then we have some moments where I don't know if we could, beat some 6-man teams out there with 11 guys on the field. So we've just got to put it together a lot better, and I think the thing is our kids have the ability. It's just, again, we have the ability that we need all 11 guys doing it, though. We need to make sure that they're doing their job. And when all 11 guys are doing their job, we play really good football. So we've had some really bright spots. We just need that consistency of those bright spots coming back. So I'm excited about the possibilities we have going into district play, but time will tell if we're going to be able to do that on a consistent basis, offensively, defensively, and special teams.
You talk about coming off of a loss like this, and you've coached a lot of quality teams over the years. How has the senior leadership been at practice? Are they doing a good job of bouncing back and getting refocused?
Yeah, really good, honestly. Again, they've taken every challenge we've thrown at them, and this week was a physical style practice, more so than we've had this year. And our seniors didn't whine about it. I've seen some of our seniors really step up and take their attitude to a new level and take it in positive direction. So we've got after them this week in all phases, and I'm really glad how they responded. Now we need to get through Thursday. It's parent-teacher conference week for us this week, so it's a little bit of an awkward week, but I think we've done a good job handling that. And then we just need to make sure that we take that onto the field Friday night, because all of our Boone Central games have been outstanding games over the years and hard-fought battles that usually go into the fourth quarter. I expect this one to be the same.
And of course, you have it on the hill, your home field for the advantage. How does that feel coming back home? And obviously, you have that atmosphere against a tough foe like Boone Central.
Well, we played well at home this year, which is encouraging, and that's the thing we're going to have to continue to do. We have a group of kids right now that I think rally around each other when there's adverse situations. And right now, we don't have really an adverse situation going into districts. I mean, we're sitting 2-2, but we still, have a lot to say about what our postseason chances are. But in the same respect, there is a little pressure there, and every time they get a little pressure, either from the coaching staff or from another team, it seems like they respond. We just need to have them respond in the first part of the game all the way through the end of the game. If they can do that, good things are going to happen for us against Boone Central.
Well, kind of as we're getting here towards the end, what are kind of the keys for you guys this week in practice? What's been the mantra? What have you been preaching to the guys?
Well, the biggest thing for us is we need to run the football a little more effectively than we did against O'Neill. We had moments and we had drives. We picked up first downs on our first 2 drives, and then on the first or second down after we picked up a first down, we had penalties, and those were drive killers for us last game. We're a good football team, but we're not good enough to overcome a 5-yard or 10-yard penalty. We're a team that's going to have to get that 4 or 5 yards a rush or a pass and just kind of keep chipping down the field. And we've done that against those other teams. We've had a lot of success. And I don't care if it's Norfolk Catholic, I don't care if it's O'Neill, Fort Calhoun, or Milford. When we've had those successful drives, we've taken care of business, haven't shot ourselves in the foot, drove it down against some of the best teams in the state. So if we can do that, I feel good about what our offense can do defensively. Again, it's the consistency. We can't get out of position. We can't do somebody else's job. We can't afford to not do our job to the best of our ability. So if we can do that, good things are going to happen. But I liked where our defense really bounced back this week in practice. They had a physical week, and I saw some of our seniors really stepping up. Connor Werdeman, in fact, had a great practice today. I thought he did a great job. Alex Vakes just continues to really shine brightly for our defense. He is a guy that's come out of nowhere, and the intensity level and the effort level that he plays with is awesome. He's a guy that really stands out. If you watch football at all, you like to watch the line a little bit, and he's a guy that plays at tackle and plays at defensive end, and he's been a fun guy to really develop for us this year.
All right, Coach, with wrapping things up, we wish you the best of luck as we're out of time, but always a pleasure having you on the show.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to come down here once a week and share our thoughts on our football team. We're just excited to get the game kicked off and get our district play kicked off this week against Boone Central.
The Vikings are doing just that, taking on the Cardinals to open up districts, sitting at 2-2. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us here on News Channel Nebraska and Coach's Show. We'll hear from head coach Tyler Linder of the Scotus Shamrocks in our third and final segment.
Life is about doing those things we love. And when something happens, you risk that connection to those things. It's about the path you follow to recovery, to return to those things that bring a smile to your face. When it comes to physical, occupational, and speech therapy, rely on the experts who combine compassion with excellence in rehabilitative services. The path of personalized, comprehensive, and innovative care to get you where you want to go is at Columbus Community Hospital, specializing in making a difference.
Home Real Estate is an all-star team of realtors who are ready to work for you. They work tirelessly to sell your home or find the right home to suit your needs. Give any one of their agents a call today. Home Real Estate, serving Columbus and the surrounding areas.
And welcome back to Coach's Show here on News Channel Nebraska. Our third segment, as always, with SCOTUS head coach Tyler Linder. I always ask you this question, Coach, but how are you doing today? Tell us something different. How's Coach Tyler?
Fantastic.
Yes, good. Good. Well, let's jump right in then. Aquinas. Something that wasn't probably your most happy performance you saw on Friday night. It was a matchup between two rivals, but we'll take a look at some highlights and walk us through that contest on what happened there on Friday in David City.
You know, last week we played a very talented team in David City Aquinas. You know, we're a good team, and they're obviously a great team. You know, they played way better than we did last Friday night. You see, they won every facet of the game: offense, defense, special teams. You know, we gave up a block kick, but after that, I think our special teams played all right. And defensively, it was hard to get off the field with them. They were able to grind out almost every single third down, and when they couldn't get it on third, they went for it on fourth. And so we've got to have some more production on our offense. Get some points on the board, because it's impossible to win football games when you don't score any points.
When you talk about coming out of a tough game like this, what's kind of been the rhetoric at practice? And obviously, as a coach, you're looking to your senior leaders to have an impact on the team.
Yeah, we've got a very talented team, but the difference last Friday night, was the physical nature of play. They brought it, we didn't, and they did the little things right. They maintained their blocks to the whistle. They pursued heavily to the football. So, if we want to get back to where we need to be to play championship football, we got to do the little things right, and that's kind of been the the rally cry this week.
So you've seen Aquinas, you've seen Bishop Neumann, two of the top teams in Class C1 after 4 weeks of play. Comparatively, can you gauge which between those two would you feel is stronger compared to your performances?
I think, against Bishop Neumann, I think we played a better football game. I think we came out with the right mental focus, but, Neumann kind of put it on, really quick. They scored 21 points in 7 minutes in that second quarter. And so, that game I thought that we played well except for 7 minutes. And so, but David City last week was a very, very humbling experience. There's a lot of things to take away from both losses, but, things that I think our coaching staff is able to fix.
Well, when you look at how the team is responding, and I remember you mentioned a little bit beforehand that you guys had some seniors after the game talking about, hey, can't let this happen again. You look at some of those leaders on the front line. You got Gutzmer, Shohan there in the backfield on both sides. How has their rebounding been coming into practice as you focus for GICC this week?
Our focus has been good. We've actually had to really, really refocus. We're shifting around our offensive linemen a little bit just to get guys in what we feel are going to be, better positions for a district run here. And so, anytime that you move guys around a little bit, it's not a huge, drastic change, but we've got to focus in on the little things. This week has almost felt a lot more like camp week than it does, the 5th week of the season, where we're kind of back to basics, making sure we do those little things right. Because if we can't run our base stuff correctly, we can't get more advanced. So we're going back to those, those sorts of things, and we're really going to, trust the guys up front and run right behind them. And so we're excited, for the challenge to get back at it this week.
And Coach, just looking at the schedule, 4 weeks in, you're at 2-2. Prior to the season, you always say we want to win every game, but at 2-2 right now, heading into district shortly, how do you feel your team's at, or do you like, I guess, where your team is at this point in the season?
We say it all the time in our program. We're happy but never satisfied. I'm happy that we've competed well in the vast majority of our games, but we're not satisfied being 2-2. And if the season ended today, I'd have a really sour taste in my mouth. So, and I know our boys would too. So, the goal is to be 1-0 each and every week, and the focus has got to be on each week. We're looking right at GICC GICC because we know that they're standing in our way of being 1-0 this week. And so, it's district time. It's time to really, start playing your best football, and I think SCOTUS is ready to do that.
GICC coming off the win over Broken Bow. They lost to Aquinas in week 3 as well. What are you looking at game plan wise? They run a little bit of that option attack there offensively, defensively. Where are you guys at?
I think, again, we're a defense that's just based on fundamentals, doing your job and playing assignment football. And that's perfect, going into, an option-style team. We've got to do our job. We have to be disciplined because if you're not, option teams can hurt you with big plays. And so, GICC is 1-3 right now. They've played very, very good competition, but, they're under new leadership with Coach Bob Fuller, and they've had three new head coaches three head coaches in the last 3 years. And so anytime something like that happens, it's hard to get, a program going. But Coach Fuller's got them going in the right direction. The film that I've seen, they've gotten better each and every week. And I think they've got a nice group of seniors that they rely on. They've got some dynamic playmakers in the backfield and some big bodies up front. So we're going to have to bring our A game if we're going to compete well against GICC.
And in terms of what you need to do to be successful, you talked about it's camp week and practice. Defensively, you want to see your players make tackles. Offensively, move the chains. Is it a situation where you say, hey, we come out, we do what we need to do, it's district week, or how do you get your players to execute again coming off of Friday?
The big thing that we're talking about in our program right now is just trust. You have to trust the guy that's right next to you on every single play to do his job, and he trusts you to do, your job. We as coaches trust our players, when they're on the field, and we hope that that's reciprocated to us. And so, it's kind of, business as usual, as we always say, but we got to get back to trusting one another and just doing our job. And I think when those sorts of things happen, we start to see the fruits of our labor.
Tyler Palmer, even though, again, you guys weren't able to put any points on the board this last week, you still saw some good signs from him, and he still looks like he's developing very well as a young quarterback. And we talked about him a couple weeks ago. As a young freshman, though, coming off a loss like that, does he seem to be composed at practice?
Yeah, I actually had a nice conversation with TP after practice yesterday about, how tough of a game it was last week, and they're not going to get any easier, And so, the big thing that we're looking for any quarterback, freshman or senior, we're looking for, that cool, calm voice and that very consistent player. And, everybody's going to have highs and lows, but, the trick to being, a great athlete is being able to shake off the bad and play the next play. And so he's learning, he's growing, he's doing everything that we ask him to do, and I'm very happy with where Tyler is, going into week 5.
All right, Coach, wrapping this one up. We have about a minute and a half left, but at that Aquinas game, I saw Jake Boss in the stands prior. I don't know if there were some other alumni from that team last year that were watching that contest, but have you talked to them at all? What was that like having some alumni or guys coming back and playing, and are they talking to the SCOTUS program or anything along those lines?
Yeah, one of the best things about coaching and teaching in general is you get to see young men graduate your program and go on to be successful in other areas. And so we've created a wonderful culture here at SCOTUS, and a culture that when players leave they still want to be a part of. And so a lot of guys have been coming back. In the last few weeks I've seen a lot of those seniors, and even guys that have graduated 3, 4, 5 years ago. And so that's really one of the greatest gifts that you can receive as a teacher or coach, is just seeing those people come back, all those former players, former students come back and show their support. And it's a real testament not only to, the program that we've built, but it's a huge testament to our coaching staff. I think those guys want to come back and see their old coaches and see, how they've helped shape SCOTUS football.
All right, Coach. Well, as always, wishing the best of luck in Week 5 against GICC.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, that wraps up another edition of the Coaches Show here on News Channel Nebraska. As always, be sure to catch the rebroadcast at 6:30 a.m. on Thursday and Fridays, as well at 12:30 and 4:30 p.m. I'm Brandon Axman. He's Coach Tyler Linder, alongside Grant Naughton. We're wrapping this one up, and we'll catch you next week.
Rest easy. State Farm agent Annette Alt is there for you. Call 402-564-8581 today for the service you deserve. State Farm agent Annette Alt can help you find the right level of auto coverage. Call today at 402-564-8581. Whatever it is, Columbus Community Hospital can help. Specializing in orthopedic care, we can help you get back at it, so you don't have to worry about it.
Ernst Certified, a new way of looking at pre-owned. Ernst Certified pre-owned vehicles undergo a rigorous 160-point inspection and come with a 1-year, 100,000-mile warranty, a 3-month, 3,000-mile bumper-to-bumper, discounted oil changes, and 1 year of free car washes. Check out over 8 acres of cars, trucks, and SUVs at 615 East 23rd Street in Columbus or online anytime at ernstauto.com.